Okay, here we are again. This video is going to show us how to make a background for our kitchen scene, kind of a room with a floor and walls, so that we can start to put our table and cereal box and bowl and spoon into it, so we can make a full scene, make it look like a real room. So, first thing we need to do, of course, we're going to delete this cube and we're going to add a plane. So hit delete on your keyboard and click it with your mouse. Go up to add mesh, and the very first one is a plane. Let's add a plane. This is going to be our floor, the floor of our kitchen. So we need to expand it, make it a little bigger. So let's get the scale tool and click on the white circle and just expand it out. Let's just do it about the size of the grid. Now let's put it above the grid so the grid's not in our way. Let's get the translate tool and just drag it up a tiny bit so the grid is there on the bottom. Okay, this is the floor of our kitchen, and again, let's get rid of the camera and the lamp so it's out of our way. Alright, now let's make just a couple walls. Let's make 3 walls around the edges. So if we, let's go into edit mode. If you hit tab on your keyboard, that's a quick way to get in and out of edit mode back to object mode. So hit the tab to go into edit mode. Let's get our edge select, and let's select, right click, hold down shift, right click, 2 others, and we've got our 3 edges selected. Now we are going to extrude. Let's do individual, so they're each individual. Now if I click and hold my scroll wheel down and move around so that it is going up, and then I can let go and continue to move up, click, I'll zoom out, and that's not high enough obviously, so I'm going to bring it up further to where it looks like the right size of walls. About there, it looks pretty good. Okay, so drag it up so it looks like a kitchen, a floor with walls, and that's where we will make the kitchen. We'll put a floor in there and some wallpaper to make it look fancy. So the first thing, now a couple things that we haven't learned here that we need to do to ensure if we want the walls all different colors and the floor, which we at least want the floor a different color than the walls. So I'm going to make these different objects. Okay, this is all one object right now. I right click on it, oops, hit tab to go to object mode, right click on it, and it selects the whole thing. We want to make these different objects so that we can make them different colors or patterns, put different textures on them. So if I go back to edit mode, and if I hit P, let's see, first let's select. So go to face select and let's select the floor by right clicking on it, and if I hit P on the keyboard, I am going to separate this selection from the rest. Okay, now I can click on the other 3, but I can't click on that because now it's a different object. So if I go back to object mode, I can click on the floor and I can click on the walls. That's one object and the floor is one object. Okay. Now if you're in object mode and you hit P, it's going to mess things up, do something all crazy. So you got to get your mouse up to the top, the title bar, just click and drag down a little bit to get it away from what happened, whatever messed up. Okay, make sure you are not in object mode when you hit P on the keyboard. So hit tab to go to edit mode. Now I'm in this, now I click the floor, and so I'm in that object edit mode, and now I cannot click on the walls. Let's go back to object mode and click on the walls, hit tab to go to edit mode. Now click on this wall over here and P on the keyboard and click selection. Let's do it again with this wall, right click on it, P, selection, right click on this wall, P, click selection. Now these are all separate objects, so we need to go back to object mode to select one of them. Okay, now I can select all the different ones. Let's do the floor first. So right click on the floor to select that object and hit tab to go into edit mode. And we are going to put a texture on the floor to make it look like a floor. You could do wood flooring or tile. I'll show you how to do a tile here since we did wood on the table. But if you like wood flooring the best, you can do wood floor and do it the same way as we did the table. For tile, I am going to first get this menu out over here, click up there and drag out. So I've got the two views. I'm going to get rid of that menu by hitting T. And now I'm going to change this view to UV Image Editor. Okay, so I'm going to unwrap this floor, which is just a square, but I'll show you why I'm going to do that in a minute. So unwrap, get it over here, and now I need a texture. So let's go into, first need to select a material, click on New, so there's a material there. Then I will click on the texture. Now it looks like there, texture there, so I'll click a new texture. And now I'm going to get a picture, okay, image. We've done this several times, and I'm going to open one. First thing, under mapping, we need to make sure that it says UV. Otherwise, when we render it, it's going to get all messed up. So select UV, make sure that is selected, and open if you already have a texture. If not, let's go find one. So what I'm going to do, I'll just show you real quick. I'm going to go to Home Depot's website and do a little shopping here for a floor. So I want flooring, and I want a tile floor. So let me find tiles. Click on tile. Ceramic tile. Now you can just go to Google if you want and find tiles, but I like to shop at Home Depot, and so I'm going to find something and pretend that I'm building a floor. So I've got ceramic, so I've got all these tiles here. I can choose a different tile that would look nice. This one looks kind of nice, so I'll click on it, make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to right click on it and save image as, and make sure you save it to your files. I'll just save it to my desktop. Kind of a bad habit, but whatever. So save it, and then when you go back into Blender, now I can open it and search for it on my desktop, find it in your files. Okay, so here's my tile. Now to get it here, I'm going to go down here and click right here and select tile floor 3. That's my picture. Now, right now, that whole floor is going to be this one tile, and I don't want that. But let me show you, if we go over here to this other view, click this right here and go up to texture, it will just show my texture. So that eliminates the need to go into the menu and click that button that we've always been clicking. And this is just in the pane, or the when I added the plane mesh, this allows us to do that. So just click here and go up to texture, and it shows up right there. Now, so that one tile is my whole floor, and that doesn't, I mean, it looks kind of cool, I guess, but it's going to be all pixelated because the picture's so small and I've made it so big. So what I need to do is go back here, let's right click on it again to select it, and I'm going to scale this. So I'm going to zoom out because I'm going to scale it really big. Make this really big, and then it starts to tile my picture over there on the left side. Okay, and so now this is the floor, and the tile is that big on the floor. So you can make it the size that looks good. Okay, it's tiled. One other thing I could do, if it's, now it doesn't look quite like tile because there's no grout, and I could make it look like grout. If I went into Photoshop, and I guess I can do that real quick. If I go into Photoshop and open that picture, got it in Photoshop, now I can just put a little border on it. I'll show you that real quick. If I double click on the background to make it a separate layer, that way I can delete part of it or erase part of it, and I'm going to get a new layer by clicking this button on the layers menu. I'm going to put that down below it. I'm going to get my paint tool. Now you might see this gradient tool, so just click and hold and get the paint bucket, and I'm going to make it white and just click on it, and it clicked the layer below it, it made it white. So if I can see that layer below, it's white. Now if I get my erase tool, and by clicking the brackets underneath the backspace key, I can go bigger or smaller. I'll make it kind of small, if I click and let's see, I'm on the wrong layer, so make sure you're on the correct layer. If I click and drag on the edge, if after I click, if I hit shift, then it goes straight down. Oops, I've got the erase mark back there. Okay. Click, hold down shift, drag down, and that's kind of big because it's going to duplicate and there's going to be double the grout. So click shift, click shift, click, hold down shift, do it one more time on the bottom. Okay, so there's my grout around the edge, and that way that will separate the tiles when I pull it back into Blender. So let me save this. I'll just save over it as a JPEG, and it'll be called copy. Okay, if I go back into Blender, now I need to refresh that image, or actually change the image because it changed the name. So let's just delete this and get a new texture. Now if I go to open, I need to select the new one that I just created, and now it has some white around the edges. And I need to make sure that under mapping it says UV. Now I'm going to switch the picture down here because it's still my old picture. So I'll come here and go to the new picture that I have, and it puts a little white border around it. Now if I select this, oops, need to change it after I select it. There we go, there's my little bits of grout. So now it looks more like a tiled floor. That looks pretty good. So there's my floor. Now go to the second video and you can see how to do the walls, and we'll continue.